Hi there, I'm Max Simon, and welcome to a brand new format of the Big Vision Show where Jeffrey and I will be in real deep, rich dialogues around business, spirituality, and bringing your next level calling out into the world. Today, we're going to discuss the fear of success and what happens when you feel like there's something greater, bigger, more abundant for you to do, and yet simultaneously you find yourself leaning away from it, shying away from taking those steps forward, and of course, what to do about it. So Mr. Van Dyke, let's talk about fear of success. Lately we've been talking to quite a few people, and one of the patterns that I keep seeing pop up is that, people want to do something. They want to make more money, they want to grow their business, and yet kind of really diving full on into it, it like scares people.
Yeah.
It really scares people. And whether that means they resist the support, or they resist taking the actions, or they just resist something, there's something that's stopping people, and I would call it the fear of success. What would you call it?
Yeah, I think that works. I think it is fear of success, and I think it stems from a couple things. On the surface level, I think the fear of success is something's going to break in my life if what I'm doing really blows up.
Yeah,
right?
Like if I really go for it, I won't be able to handle it.
I won't be able to handle it. My life's going to blow up in one way, shape, or form. And,
It's scary.
It's very scary, and it's real. Here's the thing. People...
We hope it's not totally real.
Well, no, I mean, you are doomed. But on some level, it is real, right? Like, people often say to me, like, well, gosh, I'm scared that my relationship with my wife is going to get, or my husband is going to get totally blown up, destroyed. I'm going to get divorced. And it's like, as much as I want to say, like, no, you'll be great. It'll be awesome. Don't worry about it. That's actually not always true.
Yeah, it is going to bring some new challenges and growth edges into the relationship.
Absolutely. Or places where it's like, I'll sometimes dig in with people around the financial side, the fear of having that much money come their way, right? It's like, yeah, if I had $10,000 a month coming my way, totally, that would be awesome. Great with that. Okay, 15, 20. Ooh, 20. That starts to be a little different life. Okay,
50,
what about
100,
50, 100,
right.
500 plus per month? Well, now the mind starts to scramble a little bit. And what I find is that when people have an area of their life where they're out of integrity in some way, shape, or form,
or there's a maturity of how they're supposed to
that's
approach
really
this whole
required.
thing.
It comes sharply into focus when you think about really getting successful. So let's say you mismanage money, and suddenly you have this much money coming in. Well, you're almost buried by it because you don't know what to do with it. It's weirdly suffocating in a way, right? Or let's say there's a stress that you don't know how to handle, and you stress eat, right? And you
or you work yourself to exhaustion.
To exhaustion.
And that's already happening now. So if the business was 10 times bigger, it's just going to destroy you.
Right. Absolutely. My kids will hate me. I'll get divorced again, right? Because I won't be around, because I take my existing state, wherever I'm at today, my psychology, my habits, my way of being in the world, and I project it on that future vision. Mm-hmm. And when I project it, it's wherever I'm out of whack a little bit in my life today, I just turn up the amplifier and amplify it by 1,000%, by 100%, and now it's like, and oh crap, there just went my life.
And I guess what really happens is you start to turn that picture up as you realize how incapable you are.
Yeah.
And so it becomes paralyzing because
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know this, I don't know that, I can't handle this correctly right now, so if this is 10 times bigger, well, I'm doomed.
Yeah, yeah. And, one of the things I often say to people is that the person you are today isn't the person that is going to be leading that bigger vision. Right. Like, you will have learned and grown over the course of time as you move towards that bigger vision.
If you're committed to that. That's the one thing I've realized that's been so significant in our growth, is that we make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
We do get crushed at times. but the commitment to really, one, continuing to move forward, and two, really making it a point of learning at every step of the way. Like, God, we really screwed that up, or, oh, really handled that incorrectly.
Yeah.
But the commitment to continuing to keep on the path and to keep learning from it and becoming sharper from it, I think is what's allowed us to continue to move forward in the face of, sometimes really screwing stuff up.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the great benefit we have in our company is we have one another, and we have a team around us that supports us. But I think for anybody, you need a support structure that can continue to call you forward when you want to fall down.
That's what I was going to ask. As I'm saying this, I'm realizing it's easy to hear it. It's harder to implement that container, that structure for how do you continue to show up in a positive frame of mind, in a learning state of mind, even when maybe it's not being reflected to you in your experiences. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, as you were saying that, the thing that just came to mind is whether you have a business partner or whether you have a coach or some other support system. And what most people do when they get overwhelmed and they fall down and they go into their stuff is it's easy just to stay there for a while, right?
I'm wrong, I'm bad, I'm incapable.
God, and the judgment just gets heaped on. And of course, the longer you stay there, the more deeply you judge yourself, so it just amplifies it and it buries yourself deeper.
And the more places you see that you're doing it wrong. You
Right.
know, like, oh, I didn't make any money today. Oh, I, hired this person and then it wasted a bunch of energy today.
Right.
So it's not that that stuff isn't actually happening all the time. It's that when you're digging yourself into a hole and the hole is getting deeper and deeper, that's almost all you're focused on.
Yeah, you just can't see anything else.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I've so deeply appreciated about having a partnership is whether it's you or me, there's times when it's like we've just got to show up. We have built-in accountability. And we've built the relationship where even if we have screwed up, we know that we aren't going to get tossed to the curb, right? That we can come to one another and say hey, I screwed up. And it's not easy. That's the thing. It's not easy, but we have a commitment to doing it.
And that just reminded me of something that you really brought into BVB, which is, how do you say it? It's when you go to speak to people about creating, not commitment, conditions, safe conditions, of how, so much of the time we kind of just say either we're going to just go do it and we throw ourselves in recklessly, or we stray away from it completely. But something that you actually really brought in was this idea of creating safe conditions with the people in your life so that there's an agreement about how to handle these things. Why don't you? That's such a valuable thing.
Yeah. I think we all have fears about things. And the biggest thing around life in general, and certainly success and the fear of success, is an issue of trust. Trusting ourselves, trusting another, trusting that we're on the right path, trusting that there's guidance around and available to us. And when it comes to anything, whether it's working with another person or building the next phase of our business, we often project our worst doubts and fears into the next chapter. And we do it as a way actually to keep ourselves back and keep ourselves safe. So instead, I say, what do we need in order to feel safe stepping forward? What are the conditions we would need? So, for example, some of the conditions we built way back when was, one, we would always be honest with each other to the best of our ability, right? That is number one, that we would be truthful with one another, and that we would do our best to only take action when it was true. The other one is that we wouldn't let any challenges just blow up without us coming back to the table and working on something if it were a relationship issue, right? And for me, one of my fears is abandonment. That's an old theme for me in my life, and it's something I've done a lot of work with. But that fear of, loss of love, of somebody going away, is there. And so for me, having conditions is really, really necessary to say, you don't get to just go away if something comes up. That's not an option. That's not in our contract.
Yeah.
Our contract is we come back to the table. And what that allows me to do is to continue to show up, even when I screw up, even when I'm like, I totally didn't do this right, you know?
So it's reminding me that one of the things that has to happen is first, you know, each of us has to be really honest with what those fears are, you know, to speak to, well, I'm afraid of being successful because it's going to be different for every person.
Absolutely.
You know, for you, it's the fear of abandonment. For me, it's the fear of being too responsible for everything. So we have to speak to those things and allow them to become clear and honest to us. And then we have to go to the people that we're in deep relationship with and not only be willing to share them and, you know, risk exposing parts of us that we actually are a little bit embarrassed by, but also create those conditions so that there's a sense of trust not only between each other but inside of yourself. And I think that's what gives the permission to start to step forward and do things in a much bigger way, being kind of unafraid that your worst fears are actually going to come true because they've already had a sacred agreement, if you will, in the world.
Yeah, and you know, it's not even just conditions, it's enrolling people into supporting us and being our best self, in becoming the person that can say yes to the bigger vision. So just yesterday, I was on the phone with one of our VIP clients, and the fear was, if I really say yes to this big vision, and he's got a big vision, and it's sexy, right? But if I say yes to that big vision, I'm already maxed. I already can't like find an extra 15 minutes. Like, how is this ever going to possibly work? And when we looked at it and looked at it and looked at it, we found a theme of subtle ways he says yes to things that aren't a yes to him, right? And I said to him, like, imagine that you never, you know, to the best of your ability, say yes unless it's true anymore. How much more time would you have? How much more trust would you build in yourself, etc.? And it just like the light bulb went off, like, oh, that's the reason I'm not saying yes to this. And so, you know, we built a strategy for him to really be somebody who's in integrity in relationship. And I asked him to enroll his partner in supporting him in doing that. And I said, you know, it will even shift things in your partnership if you don't say yes to your partner when she wants you to and it's not true for you.
Yeah.
But to enroll her into that being that he's becoming and have that support structure built in so he can absolutely feel safe and solid in stepping forward in the next chapter.
Yeah, what I hear from that is that it's a good exercise to look at, you know, let's say for a moment that I was to really create this next chapter fully, what things are happening now couldn't be there anymore. And to take some time to, like, you know, put your actions, your beliefs, your experiences under a microscope to kind of list out, like, well, that wouldn't work anymore, or this couldn't be there anymore, from a place of like looking at what am I doing that needs to be adjusted and shifted. Because once you're clear then on what that is, just like this guy was, you can grow into the person that can actually be that in the world.
Yeah, beautiful. So let's wrap there. I want to end this segment by, first of all, thanking you for being part of this new format we have for the Big Vision Show. It's really great to be able to be in dialogue and bring these real issues around business and spirituality and calling to you. So here's the request I have. Having listened to this segment, what's your biggest fear of success? And what's the number one thing you would have to shift to feel a deep sense of freedom to step forward today? Go ahead and enter that in the comments below. And as always, we love sharing this with you. We love having you as part of our tribe. So if this is valuable to you and you know it could be valuable to someone you care about in this world, please forward it to them and invite them to join us in this tribe here at bigvisionbusiness.com. And as always, we are here to support you, my friend. So if you are looking for a deeper level of mentorship in your life, in your business, to move your big vision to the next level, please click on the button below and we'll share more information with you about that. With that, thank you so much. We send you all our love.
Subscribe.
Yeah, we're recording, so you guys can...
Go.
Yeah.
Be intelligent.
Be profound.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is
Deep
Jeffrey Van
thoughts
Dyke.
with Jeffrey Van Dyke.
Ah.
Do you smell that beautiful air? No, you don't, because you're on camera.
Anybody want some cheese whip on this?
Punchy, punchy.